Okay, so get this. I was at this hole-in-the-wall deli the other day,
Uh-huh.
and the guy behind the counter, I swear, he could tell you what farm a piece of cheese came from just by the smell.
Wow.
Turns out there's a lot more to being a delicatessen specialized seller than just, slicing salami,
Yeah.
which is what we're diving into today with RoleCatcher's career guide.
Sounds tasty.
Yeah. So if you've ever thought about a career surrounded by incredible food, this is the deep dive for you.
It's more than just enjoying a good cheese plate, that's for sure. RoleCatcher really gets into the nitty-gritty of what it takes to succeed in this world.
And the guide starts by talking about how appealing this job is. And I have to admit, the idea of spending my days surrounded by gourmet goodies, becoming like a walking encyclopedia of edible delights,
Oh, yeah.
is pretty tempting.
It speaks to this whole trend, people wanting these curated food experiences.
Totally.
Remember that part in the guide about consumers craving unique and exotic flavors from around the world?
Yeah.
That's a huge part of this.
Yeah. Okay, I'm hooked. But what does a typical day look like?
Right.
Are we talking more than just helping someone decide between cheddar and Swiss?
Oh, way more.
Okay.
You're not just a cheesemonger, you're a guide, a consultant.
Really?
Sometimes even a therapist, especially when someone's having a meltdown because the last wedge of Humboldt fog is gone.
I could see that.
Seriously, you need that deep knowledge of the products to talk about origins, flavor profiles, pairings.
Wow.
Plus, there's inventory. Imagine the holiday rush. You've got to have enough imported Panettone without ending up with a mountain of it come January.
Oh, man. I never even thought about that. And the guide also mentioned technology, like point-of-sale systems, inventory software, even social media.
It's not your grandma's deli counter anymore.
That's wild.
You could be analyzing sales data to see what kind of artisanal crackers are trending, then crafting a social media post to boost sales even more.
Wow.
It blends traditional skills with modern know-how.
Okay, that's way more high-tech than I pictured.
Yeah.
So speaking of exceeding expectations, the guide lays out a career ladder here,
Right.
from newbie to seasoned pro.
Yeah.
What did you think about that progression?
Honestly, the focus on continuous learning really struck me.
Interesting.
You can climb from entry level to senior delicatessen seller, but you're always leveling up your knowledge,
Okay.
And the guide compares those two profiles, and it's fascinating. Entry level is mastering the basics, while the senior role,
Yeah.
it's about understanding trends, maybe even predicting them. Knowing that truffle-infused Gouda is about to be the next big thing before anyone else.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and that comes from experience, that commitment to staying ahead of the curve.
You're like a food futurist.
Yeah,
And I love that they suggest building a portfolio.
that's a good one.
What would really impress you if you saw a delicatessen seller's portfolio?
Ooh, good question. It's about showcasing passion and initiative. Imagine seeing someone highlighting relationships with local cheesemakers, documented experiments perfecting a vegan cashew cheese,
Wow.
or even organized a blind olive oil tasting event that boosted sales. That shows me they live for this.
It's like a culinary resume that goes way beyond just listing your favorite cheeses.
Exactly.
Now, I want to get into the skills you need because some of the things the guide emphasized surprised me. It wasn't just knows the difference between brie and camembert.
Right.
Persuasion, negotiation, sales, and marketing were all listed as essential.
Absolutely.
It makes sense, but it's not the first thing that comes to mind when you picture someone behind a counter piled high with prosciutto.
And that's the beauty of it. You're flexing those persuasion muscles every time you convince someone to try a new olive,
Oh, yeah.
Those negotiation skills come in handy when you're haggling with suppliers for the best price on artisanal bread.
I see that.
And forget just slapping a price tag on a block of cheddar, you're creating an experience, a story.
That makes people want to buy into a whole vibe. So you're not just selling gourmet food, you're selling an experience, a lifestyle.
100%.
So what would you say to someone just starting their deli destiny?
It's all about getting your hands dirty, literally. Find a deli, a gourmet shop, even a fancy grocery store, and learn the ropes.
Okay.
Master customer service, product knowledge, even inventory management.
Right.
Those are the building blocks. And of course, getting certified in food safety is non-negotiable.
Of course, you're dealing with perishable goods.
Exactly.
Speaking of essential knowledge, let's talk interviews. RoleCatcher has some thought-provoking practice questions. Any standouts for you?
Ooh, there were a few.
Okay.
One was, how do you handle a difficult customer in a delicatessen?
Ooh, good one.
It's such a classic, but it reveals so much about your problem-solving skills and your ability to stay cool under pressure.
Because let's be honest, people can get pretty passionate about their paninis.
Oh, tell me about it. And another one that stood out was, how do you ensure food safety in a delicatessen? Again, seems straightforward, but it speaks volumes about your judgment, your attention to detail, your commitment to those high standards.
I see that.
RoleCatcher doesn't just throw these questions out there. They give you insight into what those interviewers are really looking for. They want to see you can think on your feet, that you're passionate about gourmet food, and that you understand customer experience is everything.
It's not just about memorizing cheese varieties. It's about conveying your love for the craft.
Yes.
Your ability to thrive in a fast-paced environment.
Exactly.
And maybe even a little bit of your own personal flair.
Love it.
Speaking of which, any last-minute tips from the guide before we move on to part 2 and tackle some listener questions?
Oh, absolutely. One thing the guide stresses is research. Don't just show up to the interview cold,
Right?
Familiarize yourself with the company, their vibe, what kind of cheeses they're known for.
Yeah.
Maybe even check out their social media.
Oh, good idea.
It shows you're invested.
It's like choosing the perfect pairing for a cheese board. You wouldn't just grab any random crackers, right?
Exactly.
You'd consider the flavors, the textures, the experience you're creating.
You want to demonstrate that you understand their unique flavor, so to speak.
I love that. This deep dive has been such a journey, We started with this image of slicing cheese and meats, but being a delicatessen specialized seller is so much more.
It really is.
What's the biggest takeaway for you?
It's that intersection of passion and expertise that I find so fascinating. Yes, it's retail, but you're also this curator and advisor.
Total.
Maybe even a storyteller, sharing knowledge with every customer interaction.
Like a culinary ambassador.
Yes.
Okay, speaking of connecting with people, we had some great listener questions. Ready for the mailbag?
Let's do it.
Okay, this first one is from Sarah. She's thinking about a career change and says she's a total foodie.
Nice.
She asks, what are some misconceptions about being a delicatessen specialized seller that you wish people understood better?
Oh, man. There are a few. First off, that it's just a simple job. Anyone can slice turkey right.
Right.
But as we've been saying, the knowledge here is huge.
Yeah.
Curing processes, cheese pairings, it's a constant learning curve.
It's not just slapping ham on a slicer.
Nope. And another misconception is there's no real growth potential, not just in skills, but salary, too.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, starting out might not be glamorous, but as you gain experience, build those supplier relationships,
Yeah.
maybe even move into management, the earning potential can be impressive, especially now with the artisanal food scene booming.
That's true. People are willing to shell out big bucks for a truly unique experience.
Exactly. And let's not forget specialization. You could become known for, say, your knowledge of Spanish cheeses.
Oh,
or
yeah.
you're the charcuterie board master. There's room for artistry, entrepreneurship even.
So finding your niche, that one thing that makes your deli-loving heart sing. Okay, next question is from James. He wants to know, what advice would you give to someone just starting out and wants to make a great impression?
Oh, it's all about being a sponge. Soak everything up.
I like that.
Ask questions, even if you think they're dumb questions.
Yeah.
Watch your colleagues, see how they interact, how they arrange things.
Right.
The more you learn, the more confident you'll become.
It's like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Exactly. Humility is key, especially starting out.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for help, to admit when you don't know something.
Right.
Be open to feedback, too. That's how you grow.
And I'm sure a few free samples never hurt when you're trying to win people over.
Never hurts.
Okay, we've got time for one more before we head to part 3.
Okay.
This one's from Maria, and it's a big picture question. What are some of the biggest challenges facing delicatessen specialized sellers today, and how can they overcome them? The food industry is changing so fast. What are some hurdles a deli pro might face?
Maria, you're spot on. I'd say one of the biggest challenges is keeping up with trends. Remember how we talked about those consumers craving the new and exotic?
Yes.
What's in today might be out tomorrow.
Right.
Continuous learning is key. Read food magazines, follow those cheese influencers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Talk to cheesemakers at the farmer's market.
You're like a trend forecaster, but for cheese.
Exactly. Another challenge is staying on top of evolving standards. quality, sustainability.
Right.
Today's consumer is more aware. They care about where the food comes from, how it's produced.
It's not just about the taste anymore. It's about the values.
100%. And let's not forget online competition.
Yeah.
It's not just the deli down the street anymore. It's online gourmet marketplaces.
That's a good point. So how do you, as a delicatessen specialized seller, stand out? What's your edge?
That's where the human element comes in. It's about creating an experience.
You're not just selling a product, you're selling an experience, a connection.
Yes. People come to delis for that sense of community, the personalized touch.
Right.
They want to chat with someone passionate who can tell them the story behind that sourdough bread.
It's about building relationships.
Yes. It's about remembering this profession is about connecting with people through good food.
And that's a pretty delicious note to end on.
Yeah.
But hold on, deli devotees, we've got one last part to this deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be back in a snap with some final thoughts and a question to leave you pondering your own culinary destiny. And we're back for the grand finale of our delicatessen deep dive.
The cheese course, if you
I
will.
love it. So we've gone from simple cravings to a deep understanding of this career path.
It's more than just a job, it's a craft.
Absolutely. And speaking of craft, RoleCatcher's guide had this great line about how Delicatessen Specialized Sellers introduce customers to new and exciting culinary experiences while providing them with high-quality specialty food items. It's like you're a culinary matchmaker.
I love that. You're not just handing someone coffee beans, you're describing a hillside in Ethiopia. It's about sharing stories, knowledge, a passion for the craft.
It's about helping people discover flavors they never knew existed.
Absolutely. And in a world of endless choice, that guidance is so valuable. You become a trusted source, someone who helps people cut through the noise and find something truly special.
Okay, you've convinced me. Delicatessen Specialized Sellers are the unsung heroes of the food world. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to ponder.
Hit me with it.
Imagine you're a seasoned pro. You've climbed that deli ladder, and you're opening your own shop.
Okay.
What's your niche? What's that signature thing that has people saying, you have to try this place?
Oh, that's fun. It's about tapping into your own passions within this world.
Totally.
Maybe you're obsessed with single origin spices or building a haven for small batch hot sauce artisans.
Or rare heirloom olives from a tiny Italian village.
Exactly. It's about taking that unique taste and building a space that reflects it. It's about community, a destination for people who share that passion.
So to our listeners, we ask, what flavors will you bring to the table? What's your culinary calling? That wraps up our delicious deep dive into the world of the Delicatessen Specialized Seller. Thanks for joining us.